Neil Monroe stars as Quentin Nickles in A Premonition of Death with Sarah Orenstein and Peter Millard.
And I was hoping you'd approach him for me. You see, he applied for a bank loan here recently, and I turned him down.
Oh.
Of course, he didn't know I'd rejected him. I had the bad news passed on by a clerk. All the man had for collateral was his revolver.
Oh. Well, let's keep that our secret, shall we? I'll see what I can do.
I need the utmost discretion. Privacy of the privileged, you understand?
Uh-huh. If Inspector Nickles agrees to take on your case, I'd keep mention of the privileged class away from the conversation, Mr. MacDonald. He's more of a socialist lately. Feels there's too much money and power concentrated in the hands of businessmen and politicians as it is.
Really? You must understand pragmatism always reigns supreme, and the power elite are nothing if not pragmatists. Money talks. It always has, and it always will. Every man has his price, and I'm sure Inspector Nickles is no exception.
Secrecy. I don't like secrecy, and I'm not much inclined to do a favor for a banker. Private case or no private case.
Quentin, he's prepared to hire you and pay you directly. You know very well you could use the money. Your rent to my sister is late, and your tailor is owed $5. You have to pay closer attention to your finances.
Dear God, woman, does she tell you everything? Oh, none of my affairs private.
Now,
Besides, it's late because Chief Constable Lemon takes a month to approve my out-of-pocket expenses.
shh. Now, here we are. Please, listen to him before you shun him.
Yes, all right. Ah, there's his name on the door, Smith. I'm a detective, so I notice things like that.
Ah, come in. Thank you for coming, Inspector. Sorry for the late meeting, but the business day is so busy. Please, have a chair.
What can I do for you, sir?
Well, for a start, tell me what you think of these.
Notice of claims against the estate of the late Charles MacDonald. An obituary notice for Charles MacDonald. Memorial notice for the same gentleman. Seems he fell off the Nipissing II, I assume that's his ship, during an Eton summer social cruise on Lake Rosso in Muskoka. It's tragic. What's the connection, Mr. Smith?
Oh, I'm not Smith. I've only borrowed his office, Inspector. I'm Charles MacDonald. Some devil has been mailing me these notices. I think in a weird fashion I'm being served notice. Someone is planning to murder me.
I like riding the tram. I get to guess the occupation of the passengers. You ever do that, Abby?
You wouldn't even hear him out.
Look, there must be a dozen Charles MacDonalds in Toronto and the surrounding area. Someone was probably sending him those notices as a joke.
Oh, really? Well, how many of those McDonald's are sailing on Lake Rosso next week as a guest of the Eton?
Yes, well, that does seem to be a coincidence.
You always say you don't believe in coincidence.
Well, I also don't do bodyguard.
Oh.
Besides, if someone was planning to do him in, why wouldn't they just do it? Why send him premature notices of his impending demise?
Perhaps to threaten and frighten him.
It's a trifle far-fetched. Though, we do know someone who might do a bodyguard job for the right price. I wonder...
Who? Oh, of course. Daniel. Oh, Muskoka is so beautiful this time of the year, especially here by the water. Pity you're so stubborn, or it could have been us sailing with the Etons and the creme de la creme of Ontario society.
Oh, damn and drat, where the thunder is he?
Oh, Daniel will be along soon.
Yes, well, he'll be swimming after the Nipissing. She's getting ready to sail. When I promise a client something, I stick to my word, but I can't go. I have to be back in Toronto tonight.
Ah, at last, I told you so.
Sorry, Inspector. Abby, I thought you said Bracebridge.
No, Wellington, I said Gravenhurst.
Oh, here, hold my guest list while I get my luggage.
Well, hurry, man. MacDonald's already aboard.
Goodbye, Inspector. Goodbye, Abby.
Bye.
Oh, drat, I've got his guest list.
Never mind, he can get another one there.
Well, Certainly is a cross-section of Ontario royalty. John Shaw, Toronto Mayor, John Labatt Jr., the esteemed brewer and toast of every man.
There she goes. Oh, look, they have a band.
Pauline Johnson, poet. Wait a minute. What's this? My God, Abby, wait. We must board. Come on. Run, Abby, run. You there, deckhand. Hold up, we're coming aboard.
We're underway. Jump, sir. Jump!
No, Quentin!
Come on!
No, we can't make it! No! Quentin! Everyone is staring at us.
Well, never mind. Just smile as though you belong.
Oh.
Be cordial. Good morning, sir. It's the way I always joined my ship in the old days, you know.
Why, Inspector, Abby, that was quite an entrance. I didn't even know you had an invitation.
We don't. I'll die if they throw us off. What's gotten into you?
Well, nothing, really. You wanted to sail on the Nipissing, and here we are. I wish your command.
Maybe I can extract the real reason later. Oh, my. There's Mr. Eaton himself.
No, I was in his store, asked for a cigar, got told they didn't sell them. Can you imagine? No smokes. Some storekeeper, I don't think.
Still, he's ever so charming. So, Quentin, why are we here?
Right, because of Wellington's guest list. There's one guest listed as Dr. Alexander Q. Krieghoff.
Further enlighten me.
Alexander Q. Krieghoff. Alex Q. Kuznetsov.
Are you interested in painting suddenly?
Alexander Q. Krieghoff, not Cornelius Krieghoff. Alexander Q. Kuznetsov.
Oh, is that not a rather long deductive leap?
Abby, since London he knows we're all but breathing down his neck. A logical action would be to change his last name, but retain the Alex for those who know him by it. And the same middle initial Q. Now, how many people do you know with a name that begins with the letter Q?
You mean beside yourself, Quentin?
Doctor, you can be infuriating. Do you know that?
Because I don't subscribe to your every wild whim and fancy.
This is just the sort of affluent crowd he likes. One where he can work his evil magic and entrance lonely women with his diabolical wiles.
Well, if he is a board inspector, he can't avoid us all.
Oh, guess who I just met? Dr. William Osler. He wrote the most definitive medical publication of our time, The Principles and Practice of Medicine.
Well, Abby, we also have a famous person here at our table.
Oh.
May I present noted poet and lyrist, Miss Pauline Johnson.
Well, I'm very pleased to meet you, Miss Johnson. I'm a great admirer of your work. The song My Paddle Sings is a beautiful example of your love of nature's purity.
Thank you. I'm gratified by the acceptance of my work here and abroad, but I prefer to be called by my Mohawk name of Takahayanmaki. If my words stir hearts and help you to see the Indian people for what they truly are, stewards and diviners of nature's most holy works, then the idea of the unschooled and unprincipled savage may be put to rest.
Bravo! And I am Thomas Roach, Dr. Lapierre.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. Roach. Hello again, Mr. MacDonald and Daniel.
Before you arrived, Miss Takahayanmaki was admonishing us for our capitalistic tendencies, which appear to be at odds with our natural environment.
The white man's consumption is legend. He slaughters the buffalo for its coats and lets the meat rot, builds railways and destroys the natural peace and harmony of thousands of years, desecrates our ancestors and customs by digging up our burial sites, and kills our people to steal their land for gold. Of course, he breaks every treaty he signs, and always takes a little more, and a little more, until he will reduce the earth to a dry, lifeless, withered husk.
Still, commerce makes the world go round.
As do other things, such as loyalty and trust.
Which must be earned, and if betrayed, punished.
Yes, I agree. Loyalty and trust are indeed cornerstones of all our great institutions. As I found out while a young corporal in Her Majesty's colonial forces, 1877. As I've been sent to India, the East Indian Company had lost control of the country to the British government. Queen Victoria had just been proclaimed Empress of India. It was a dangerous time. I just met my major, a man fixed firmly in my future. Didn't know it at the time, of course.
Quentin, is this leading to... Oh dear. He's off again.
Corporal Nickles. Whether we are on parade in England or fighting in the backside of the Empire in Bengal, I'll see you at attention before me.
Yes, Major Cockerell. Sorry, sir.
That's better. Now, the first shots fired that pinned you down, where did they come from?
Don't know, Major. Couldn't see from this angle.
Oh, for heaven's sake. At ease, man.
Thanks.
I'm just trying to see how these blighters work.
Well, actually, they were firing from both sides of the track, sir.
And your horse was hit, went down, and your 2 men fled, leaving you alone?
No, Major. They went for more ammunition.
But you hadn't fired a shot at that point.
No, sir, but, well, I planned to.
Those men deserted you, Nichols. Left you to die, and you're protecting them?
Well, Major, if they'd hesitated, they were dead.
Listen, my young friend. Without discipline in the British Army, we may as well be a ragtag bunch of mercenaries. We maintain discipline through example and consequence.
I know, sir, but Cardigan and Fleming had no choice. I knew that in my position I would soon be out of shot. I yelled at them to go for more ammunition.
I would have sent them for troops myself.
Yes, well, that's why you're a major and I'm a lowly corporal, sir.
Watch yourself, soldier.
Sorry, sir.
I'm going to recommend a court-martial for desertion.
Well, but they could be hanged, sir.
Likely.
Permission to speak, sir?
Oh, all right, go ahead.
Her Majesty's forces are stretched thin in India, sir. I felt doomed when my horse was hit, so I tried to preserve the lives of 2 soldiers by ordering them to ride out of the line of fire. I was almost killed trying to save them, sir. If you hang them, well, it'll all be for naught.
And who saved your life, Corporal Nichols?
Well, you did, sir. You and a troop of the 4th Lancers.
Right. We risked our necks for you, as any good soldier would.
As I risked my neck for my men, sir.
Oh, mercy, Nichols. Why does a conversation with you always end up with me ascribing to your perverse logic and getting a great headache to boot?
Anything to do with the requirements of service, sir?
You wouldn't have any headache powder, would you?
In my saddlebag, sir. I carry it for times like these.
Ah.
But unfortunately, they're on the side of my saddle that's under the dead horse.
Doctor, Mr. Nichols, please excuse me. I must see someone about a business affair.
Yes, of course, Mr. Roach. Now, Quentin. Everyone is dancing.
Right, Abby. In a moment. I've just spotted Captain Samuels. He may be able to settle this Krieghoff question.
Come, Daniel, while our official bloodhound is on the trail again.
Captain Samuels, I'm Inspector Nichols of the Ontario Constabulary. Might I have a word?
Of course, Inspector. What is it?
Well, you have a passenger named Krieghoff, Dr. Alex Krieghoff. Have you seen him? Would you recognize him?
Krieghoff. Oh, yes, Miss Johnson's escort.
He's with Pauline Johnson?
Yes, they were one of the few provided with a cabin. He's ill.
Oh, really? Well, can you describe him? Short, tall, goatee.
Help! Man overboard!
Good God!
Man overboard!
Helmsman! Reverse! 10 degrees starboard! Full stop!
There he is, sir. I've got the bullseye on him.
There! Use the pike! Watch his head!
Oh, it's my fault. Dereliction of my duty. Poor MacDonald.
Sailor, quickly now, bring him up here.
Help us, Wellington.
No.
Now, Keith.
Here, help me roll him over. Oh, good heavens. His face is almost gone.
He must have fallen into the propellers.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Inspector. I should have been with him.
There's no reason for you to have been with him, Wellington. Huh? Look closer. This isn't MacDonald.
No?
It's Mr. Roach.
Accident, eh? Anyone else for a shot?
No, thank you, sir. No, thank you. As I was saying, from what I observed, the poor fellow leaned on a piece of rotten railing. What happened next is pretty obvious.
Well, what's more obvious, Inspector, is that Mr. Roach and I are wearing the same suit and similar hats. And I was on that deck moments before. I think someone thought Roach was me and killed him.
Mr. MacDonald, we have no proof of that whatsoever. I'll look into it further, but please calm the rhetoric. Right now, the evidence shows the railing gave way at the stern, he fell into the water, and he was sucked into the propellers.
Yes, the lacerations to his head are horrible.
Yes, we'll have to contact his relatives as soon as we dock. Did you know him, Mr. MacDonald? Family, wife?
I knew of him, but didn't know him well at all.
It's too bad. Well, Captain, I'd say this was a tragic accident. Now I think I'll visit Miss Johnson and Mr. Krieghoff and see how they're doing. Abby, ask Wellington to meet me outside cabin 4, will you? Might have need of his services.
Evening, sir.
Good evening, lad. What you got there?
Fire axe, sir. Found it on the lower deck. Someone removed it from the wall.
Oh, do you mind if I examine it? Thank you. It's wet.
Spray, sir.
Yes, all washed.
Now, why would someone do that?
That's why indeed, Wellington. Here you go, my man. Carry on.
Right. We'll be docking in 5 minutes, sir.
So soon? Right, off with you. Okay, Wellington, remember, Kuznetsov's killed before.
Yeah.
Yes? Oh, Mr. Nickles. And Mr.
Wellington, ma'am.
Good evening, Miss Johnson. Is Dr. Krieghoff with you?
No, I'm sorry. He must have taken a stroll on the deck.
Oh, I see. Have you known him long, miss?
No. Why do you ask?
Oh, beg your pardon, my badge. I'm Inspector Nickles, attached to the Ontario Constabulary. Dr. Krieghoff fits the description of someone I've been looking for some time.
We're docking, Inspector. He could leave the ship.
I'm sure you have the wrong man, Inspector. Alex is a cultured, caring European gentleman who shares my passion for nature discovery. He could never do anything wrong.
Inspector?
Yes, well, likely it's a mistake. Good night, Miss Johnson.
Let's go the gangplank!
Inspector! People are going ashore.
Right. If he's truly Krieghoff, it's strange he's not here with his lady. Wellington, you scour the main deck.
Right.
Abby, go to the upper deck and watch me in the crowd on the dock. If you spot Kuznetsov there, signal me and point out him. Come on. I know you're here somewhere.
Inspector! Inspector, look! Behind you!
What? Abby? What? Do you see him? Where is he? Dear God, woman, don't keep pointing at me. Point to him, Abby. Don't point at me. Point where he...
Don't carry on about it. The whole ship incident is over. We're home in Toronto. How's your head?
It's healed nicely, thank you.
And I did what you said. I pointed to where Kuznetsov was.
Yeah, now who won't forget? We've been over this before. It's not your fault. I just didn't realize in time that he was coming up behind me. And I'll get him, if it's the last thing I do.
Hey, here in the Globe. Tragedy Mars Social Cruise.
Yes, I've read it. You know, actually, I've been digging about in this. And I wonder if I'd missed something in my investigation because I was anxious to pursue Kuznetsov.
Accidents do happen, Quentin.
Yes, but the perfect crime is one where no one knows that a crime has been committed. For example, after all those dire warnings of doom and Roach's death, we've not heard any more from Mr. MacDonald. Strange behaviour for a man who feared for his life so acutely 1 week ago.
So,
I did some inquiries.
Oh, you're bound and determined to pin something on this man just because he refused you a bank loan.
What? How did you know they're back? So he was the manager who declined it. This is outrageous. My affairs should be trumpeted about Toronto as though I were cannon fodder.
Oh, dear, no, I didn't mean... And you poor man, offering your revolver as collateral.
What? My condolences on your husband's passing, Mrs. Roach.
Thank you, Inspector. I think I know why you were here.
You do?
Yes. You found out that Thomas committed suicide?
Why should you think that?
Because of our financial troubles and the insurance policy that he left me. Though I'd rather have him than the money.
Well, I thought your husband was a wealthy man.
Was. But there were some problems with investments made on his behalf. We would have been paupers. That's why the dear man did what he did.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't suicide, madam. But, do you mind telling me who made these investments for your husband?
I don't know. But his accountants would. Barnaby Accounting. Would you like their address?
Thank you. Madam, I only knew your husband for a very short time, but, well, he seemed to be a nice gentleman.
He was. That was the problem. He was too nice.
Why, Inspector, fancy meeting you coming out of an accountant's office.
Hello, Wellington.
Barnaby Accounting, the best.
Oh, it's not for me, just following a lead.
You want a new case? I could sure use some material.
Oh, wait till you hear this. Do you remember Mr. Roach, the drowning victim? We all thought he was rich.
Well, of course.
Well, not so. He was nearly bankrupt. His accountant said that a series of investments made for him were catastrophic. And guess who his investment banker was? None other than Charles MacDonald and the Imperial Bank. And Roach was demanding an audit before his unfortunate accident.
I smell a story.
And I smell a rat.
A banker, you mean?
Same thing.
Have you lost your senses? Let me close the door. You are accusing me of financial fraud?
Oh, I'm accusing you of far more than that, Mr. MacDonald. Mr. Roach mentioned on board he had to leave the dance for a business meeting. You were nowhere to be seen, and then he mysteriously falls into the water.
Inspector, listen to yourself. I was the one you were guarding. Did it ever occur to you that perhaps Roach sent those notices and was going to kill me over some perceived wrong?
Sir, let me tell you what I believe. That you were somehow stealing from Roach's account, that you covered the missing money by citing poor investments, that he wanted an audit, and the only way of stopping that was to stop him. But you're clever, aren't you? You created the death notices, mailed them to yourself, convinced us you were a potential victim, and then murdered Roach and claimed someone thought it was you. You couldn't have believed your luck when I said accident.
This is nonsense. If I pushed him over, he might have yelled for help.
Oh, hardly. First you struck him 3 times with a fire axe in the face. Later carefully washed it and left it for a deckhand to replace. I'm sure an autopsy will match those wounds in his skull to a Nipissing fire axe blade.
Does Dr. Lapierre know you are making these accusations?
You can't hide behind the woman's skirts this time, sir. Of course, if you opened your books to an audit and there were no irregularities, I wouldn't have a motive, would I?
I cannot show you bank records, even if I wanted to. But to show you I've nothing to hide, I'll obtain permission, and you may examine them at your leisure. They should be ready Thursday.
Well, thank you, sir. I feel much better now. See you Thursday.
This is the first time I've ever picked a bank lock for a detective.
Oh, as you do make a habit of doing it for others.
Oh.
Shh. There's light behind the door. He's in there all right, just as I suspected. Let's greet him. Well, Mr. MacDonald, planning a little bonfire, are you?
How did you get in here?
I never met a lock I couldn't pick.
I suppose those are all records relating to Mr. Roach's investments. Blackguard. You trying to alter or burn them?
I'm taking some leave. Just tidying up, so to speak.
I suppose the question is why? Why did you need to steal?
You and I have the same problem. Lack of the ready. You sought a loan. I was just a little more direct.
So you borrowed from Roach's account, first a little, then more, until it was impossible to pay back. When he demanded an audit, you killed him.
Yes. But what gave me away?
Well, if you truly believed that Roach was mistakenly killed by someone after you, then why did your concern vanish after his death? Your fear should have escalated, sir.
Ah, lack of follow-through.
Oh, no. I didn't know bankers carried guns.
Of course, Mr. Wellington. Now, both of you, out there. Now, into the vault. And I shall pocket these 2 gold bars as down payment on a new life somewhere. By the time they find you in the morning, I'll be long gone.
You won't get away with it, you know.
Isn't that what you policemen are obligated to say?
Why can't they just come quietly?
What now, Inspector?
Did you hear a click? I didn't hear a click. Try that release.
It's open. He didn't lock it down.
It's fatal flaw. Lack of follow-through. Come on, let's go.
Oh, he's seen us. He's running south to the boathouses.
Too close.
Oh, keep your head down.
He stopped. He's taking cover by the barrels.
What if I prove your loan, Inspector? Bruce?
Too late for that, sir. Just give it up. You're trapped.
You think so? Watch this.
Oh, he's gone into the water.
You see him? He went in there. Sank like a stone.
forgot he had 2 gold bars in his pockets.
Well, the diver found the gold bars and his revolver this morning, but no sign of the man himself.
Perhaps his body floated into the lake.
Yes, or he knew we'd think the gold weighed him down. So he deliberately jumped in, ditched the gold, swam under the catwalk, and waited till we left. Well, remember, his plot to kill Roach was quite elaborate, complete with a detective along to deflect suspicion. He never thinks in a straight line, that man.
He's a pretty slippery hombre, all right. But this is going to make an excellent story for my New York editors.
Well, I'm sorry for getting you involved, Quentin. I genuinely thought he was in trouble.
Oh, not at all, Abby. Without us there, Roach's death would have surely been deemed an accident. Say, Wellington, MacDonald ever pay you for the bodyguard job?
No, he never did.
Figures. Well, seems if we'd like coffee, we'll have to throw ourselves on the benevolence of the good Doc.
I'm sure a bit of groveling would not be amiss. Perhaps some wringing of hands and tugging of forelocks. I intend to make the most of this.
You have just heard The Investigations of Quentin Nickles for this week, a play called A Premonition of Death by John Richard Wright. Neil Monroe was heard as Quentin Nickles, with Sarah Orenstein as Abby Lapierre. Peter Millard was Daniel Wellington. Bernard Behrens was Sir Leonard Cockrell. Others in the cast were Colin Fox as Charles MacDonald, Oliver Becker as Roach, Laurel Pates as Mrs. Roach, Peter McNeil as Captain Samuels, Kelly Fox as Pauline Johnson, and Paul Fautaille as Bob Jersey. The recording engineer was Joe Mahoney. Sound effects were by Matt Wilcott. Casting was by Linda Grierson. The associate producer was Colleen Woods. The executive producer of the Mystery Project is Bill Howell. The program was produced and directed by Barry Morgan. I'm Bob Boving, thanking you for listening and inviting your comments. Next time, a storm catches Quentin and Abby in a winter wonderland west of Lake Scugog. This, or something worse, could kill them. Join us then. See you next week.